Yamuna Tira Adaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Jaya Radha Punjabi Jai Mr. Paramahansa, Prabhuji Stotra of Shishima, Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada Jai. Jayo Mr. Paramahansa, Prabhuji Stotra of Shishima, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Niki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur, Jai. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Namaveda Bhaktivinoda ki Jai. All glory to the Assam of the devotees. All glory to the Assam of the devotees. All glory to the Assam of the devotees. All glory to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Okay. So later on, you're going to have a nice celebration of the Ram Vijay Vijayotsav. So I won't speak anything about it today. This is the glorious day in which Ram actually conquered Ravana, killed Ravana, and retrieved Sita. And I don't know if it was the same day that he went back to Ayodhya. I think that took a little time. It is also the appearance day of Sri Madhvacharya, which we should remember. But now we'll proceed with the Srimad Bhagavatam class. And we are on text 6 of chapter 26 of the third canon. Narayana Namaskritya Narancha Narottamam Devi Saraswati Vyasa Tato Jayagiri. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, we should offer our respectful obeisances unto Lord Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and unto Srila Prabhupada, the translator, commentator, and our spiritual master. Can you turn these fans off, Manaji? Turn the fans off. Thank you. Nashta Prayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavad Kirtana Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. For regular attendance in classes on Srimad Bhagavatam, by rendering devotional service to the pure devotee, all that is inauspicious within the heart is destroyed almost to nil, and loving devotion to the Supreme Lord, who is glorified in transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this 18th day of October 2018 in Phoenix, Arizona, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. We're in Canto 3, Chapter 26, Fundamental Principles of Material Nature. Text number 6. Evam para vidhyanena Kapritvam prakate puman Karmasu priyamaneshu Gunar atmani munyate. Evam para vidhyanena Kapritvam prakate param prakate puman Karmasu priyamaneshu Gunar atmani munyate. Evam para vidhyanena Kartritvam prakate puman.
Prakate puman.
Karmasu kriyamaneshu.
Karmasu kriyamaneshu.
Gunat atmani manyate.
Atmani manyate. Evam paravidhyanena.
Evam paravidhyanena.
Kartritvam prakate puman.
Kartritvam prakate puman.
Karmasu kriyamaneshu.
Karmasu kriyamaneshu.
Atmani manyate.
Gunaratmani manyate. Evam paravidhyanena. Kartritvam prakate puman. Karmasu kriyamaneshu. Punaratmani manyate. Evam, in this way. Para, other. Abhinyanena, by identification. Kartritvam, the performance of activities. Prakate, of the material nature. Puman, the living entity. Karmasu kriyamaneshu, while the activities are being performed. Gunai, by the three modes. Atmani, to himself. Manyate, he considers. Translation. Because of his forgetfulness, the transcendental living entity accepts the influence of material energy as his field of activities. And thus actuated, he wrongly applies the activities to himself. Report. The forgetful living entity can be compared to a man who is under the influence of disease and has become mad, or to a man haunted by ghosts who acts without control and yet thinks himself to be in control. Under the influence of material nature, the conditioned soul becomes absorbed in material consciousness. In this consciousness, whatever is done under the influence of the material energy is accepted by the conditioned soul as self-actuated. Actually, the soul in its pure state of existence should be in Krishna consciousness. When a person is not acting in Krishna consciousness, he is understood to be acting in material consciousness. Consciousness cannot be killed, for the symptom of the living entity is consciousness. The material consciousness simply has to be purified. One becomes liberated by accepting Krishna, or the Supreme Lord, as master, and by changing the mode of consciousness from material consciousness to Krishna consciousness. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnanandana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmidatam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So when we do something, what's actually going on? Most people don't ever think about that. They just want to do something and the senses act, they walk here, do there, think this, turn on the TV, whatever it may be. And it's just, they're completely thinking, I'm doing this, and things are going on. And if I can act successfully enough, I'll make enough money and I'll be successful in life. And people generally are not inquisitive about these ultimate questions. But as devotees, we should try to understand how everything is going on. That's what this chapter is all about. So here, what's called to mind, maybe in your mind also, is the verse in Bhagavad Gita 3:27. Prakate kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha. Ahankara dhamudhatma kartahamiti manyate. That's exactly what's being described here. So the first part of this verse from Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that everything is being done by Prakriti, by Krishna's energy. Prakate kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha. All of these harmonies, all these activities are being done by the modes of nature. But ahankara vimudhatma, when a soul is bewildered by false ego, which means falsely identifying himself with his body, he thinks I'm doing everything. In fact, the very word ahankara means I'm the doer. Kara is the doer. I am the doer, independent of anything. Or I depend on some things from nature, but ultimately I'm the master of nature. And that's the whole ethos of the modern civilization. The farther you get away from the Vedic understanding, the more you try to lord it over material nature. And the more entangled you become in the complexities of material nature. So when we decide to do something, like I decide to pick this up, okay, what's actually going on? So I have a thought, some desire arising in here. For some reason, I want to pick this up and manipulate it or something. So I'm just a soul sitting in the heart. I can't do anything independently. All I can do is desire. And that desire is picked up by the super soul. But the super soul, in turn, is the master. He's overseeing, he's the master of all the demigods and all material energy. So immediately, the order goes out that the demigods who are in charge of all different parts of our body. It's like there's a Vayu, right? Lord Vayu, he's the Lord of the air. Well, we are using the air so much. If we can't breathe, we die. So we're dependent on Vayu. But ultimately, the Vayu is dependent on Krishna. So the same thing goes for all the other functions that we have. It says there's 33 million demigods, and even if you want to blink your eye, there's a demigod who is approving it and letting you do that. So it's a very complicated thing. I want to pick this up, and the scientists, the doctors will tell you, yes, an impulse goes out from the brain through the nerves into the muscles, and the muscles are proper muscles are used, so you can pick this up, and that's how it's happening. But that removes the most essential element of how it's happening, is the intelligence behind it. My desire, I'm not independent in fulfilling my desires. This is the whole point here. But the false ego, ahankara, which is the real interface between the soul, the pure soul, and this material world. You know, there's this little phrase. These little phrases in the Upanishads are really important. It says, asango hiyayam purusha, which means that in Purusha, the living entity, sometimes known as the Purusha in the heart, really doesn't associate or mix with this material world at all. We think we do. We're dreaming we do. The whole arrangement of material energy by Krishna is to give us the illusion that we're part of the material energy, so that we can forget it. Now, he also makes arrangements here so that we can remember him if we come to our senses. But life after life, and especially in the human life, we can learn something. We're frustrated in our efforts to manipulate material energy. Eventually, you realize, every human being realizes as you get older, oh, there's certain things I can't do anymore. The body just won't cooperate. Or you have some chronic disease, or you pulled out your back, you're flat on your back, and suddenly it strikes you in the head, hey, I'm completely helpless here. I'm dependent on so many things. If this body doesn't work, just the temperature, just to keep the temperature at 98.6, there's some kind of arrangement there. Because otherwise, all the complicated things that have to go on to make the body function, like we can forget about it and just do our thing, you know, it's not happening. And suddenly you realize, oh, I'm tied to this body, I'm helpless. Let me go to the doctor, let me try to fix it. But really, we need to fix it completely and reawaken our spiritual body. Krishna consciousness means the soul is acting spiritually and gradually becoming aware of its spiritual senses. So ultimately, as it said in Brahma Samhita, you know, Premanjana Chudita Bhakti Vilochaneya, when your eyes are anointed with the salve of pure love, then you can see differently. You can see reality. You see Krishna within your heart. You see Krishna everywhere, and He really is everywhere. So it's just so this verse is very important for understanding our present situation. Because of forgetfulness, the transcendental living entity accepts the influence of material energy as its field of activities. So that's the famous Chaitra and the Chaitra Gya, 13th chapter. And there's a description there. Arjuna has 6 questions. What is Purusha? What is Prakriti? What is Chaitra? What is Chaitra? What is knowledge? And what is the goal of knowledge? And these 6 questions Krishna answers systematically. So Krishna says, Iram Shariram Kontaya Chaitramita Vidiyate. And I forget the name, but one who knows this field is the Chaitra. So the body is the field of our activity. We may think that the outside world is the field of activity, but that's only there because we can interface it with our body. When we see something, maybe 100 yards away or 100 miles away, if it's very bright in the sky, but still, what we're experiencing is the impression on the retina, right? The eye has to be there, otherwise you don't see anything. So we, the soul, interacting with the field of this body, and we experience the world and ourselves through this body. So this is the Chaitra, I want to know. But then Krishna says, Chaitra Gyam Chapimam Vidhi Sarva Chaitra. I'm also the Chaitra Gya in everybody. So there's really 2. There's the super soul and the soul. And the super soul, the scientists don't recognize, they generally don't recognize the soul at all. But if they recognize the soul, the idea that there's a super soul, that's, oh no, that's God. We don't recognize God. They don't want to think about it. So understanding how this material, this is called the Sambandha Gyan. It's a very important foundation for our practice of devotional service. Then it all makes sense. Even when we're in Maya, and we're not feeling very enlightened in Krishna consciousness, but our study of the Shastra and our understanding of how things are working should sustain us in our willingness to do devotional service. So it's that intelligence and that remembrance of things that we've heard and read that keeps us the foundation of our faith in devotional service. Because there's the mind has these 3 functions: thinking, feeling, willing. Now the thinking is mostly in the intelligence part, but it's all together. It's considered the mind. So in human beings, that thinking part is highly developed because our intelligence, the brain, is more developed. So in ordinary, lower animals, cats and dogs, they also have thinking, feeling, willing, but it's very rudimentary. The thinking is more or less, is this danger or not? Is this pleasurable or not? And that's the basis of their will. So they think that, and they will, oh, there's food there, let me go there. And they will it, and this way they act. So they think, feeling, and willing. But human beings are meant to not simply act on the impulse of the feeling, or the impulses of the senses, or even the mind. Rather, we're meant to be moral beings. That's what it means to be Aryan, to be progressive values, and to make our decisions about what to do based on higher knowledge from higher sources, ultimately from Krishna through the media of transcendental books and the acharyas. And so there's at the beginning when we hear about this, there's a tension set up because the body is already conditioned, right? The kama has taken over the senses, mind, and intelligence. So we want to do one thing, but then we have this thing that the animals don't have. What to speak of the plants? The word should. Should. I should do something. Should means that there's a moral imperative, there's a duty given by a higher power to do something or to not do something. Whereas my feeling is I want to do what this, or I don't want to do. It's just the opposite. And that's the dilemma Arjuna is faced with at the beginning. His feelings were overtaking him. The feeling for his teacher, for Bhishma Dev, for all his relatives and friends. He wanted to see them alive. And the last thing he wanted was to be complicit in killing them. It's one thing that they get killed in the war, but for him to be killing them, that was too much. That just, as he says, I wouldn't even want to live if without the sons of Dhritarashtra. That's one of the most amazing statements in the whole Gita. Here they tried to kill him and his brothers, the House of Black, and the whole thing, poison cave, steal the kingdom, humiliate them. And now he's saying, basically, I forgive them all, I don't want to live without them. So his heart, at that point, is in the mode of passion. He's taken it on. He's an eternal, pure devotee friend of Krishna, but Krishna covered him to illustrate. But his head, his intelligence is still understanding, oh, here's Krishna, he wants me to fight, he's God, I really don't know what my duty is here. And then that key verse where he surrenders to Krishna, and he says, Karpanya dosha pahata subhava, is that my actual nature as a Kshatriya has been completely eclipsed by this confusion to the miserly weakness and Karpanya dosha, the fault of my deviating from duty. So you tell me, Prichamitam Dharma Samudha Cheta. Tell this person who's bewildered, whose mind is bewildered about what Dharma is. Dharma is, as we learned from Bhagavatam, what is real Dharma is that which awakens bhakti, that which awakens pure devotion service. So we're not in that state now because we have been in this state of bewilderness for many, many births. So, but intelligently we understand I have to come out of this bewilderment because it is bad for me and bad for everyone around me. So he's saying to Krishna, you tell me how I can achieve the best. What is real Dharma to achieve Shreya? Certain, tell me for certain. I'm surrendering to you as a guru. That's what it means. You have full confidence that this person can give you the truth without any adulteration, and that'll be the best thing for you. So when you learn that truth, you learn the reality by reading Bhagavad Gita, coming in touch with the spiritual master, then the tension is set up because we have all this conditioning that's telling us, no, don't do that. Don't go to the Hare Krishna temple. You don't want to get into all those regulations. It would be nice to be peaceful and happy, but there's no way that I can do this. So your conditioned mind is telling you one thing, but your higher intelligence is telling you another. And so the answer is to act on the basis of your higher intelligence that's been illuminated to some degree by hearing the Shastra and reading. And in this way, control the lower self by the higher self. Sound familiar? The end of the third chapter. And train the mind. The mind can be trained as the senses can be trained by guidance from above. So the real key is that to expose our intelligence as much as possible through hearing and chanting to the transcendental words, the absolute knowledge exposed and explained in the books. And then if we act on it, gradually the mind comes around, because the mind is changing according to what it associates with. So you say, I'm going to associate with this holy name now. Oh mind, stop. Instruction to the mind, manak shiksha, right? Stop going here and there. There's this beautiful poem by Raghunadas Goswami. He's instructing the mind. Asat cheshta kashta padavikatapashada badiha pakamam kamadi pakatapatapati vidikarai. I memorized them all, but this is the one I really remember the most. So also cheshta are bad activities. Kashta Prakatapadibadi, he says, I'm on this path of life, but I've been waylaid by the highwaymen. Shri Radha Madhava Hari Ki Jai, Shri Nati Gopal Ki Jai, Shri Gonatai Ki Jai. So I've been waylaid on the path by the highwaymen of lust, anger, greed, illusion, madness, and envy. And they bound me around the neck with the ropes of wicked activities. And this way I'm practically choking here, dying. So what's the answer? You have to call out, scream out from the bottom of your heart for protection by the devotees of Bhakabid. Bhakabid is the killer of Bakasura. It's a name for Krishna. Welcome, Hare Krishna. You have to call out in desperation to Krishna and his devotees, and they will come and save you. In other words, we have to realize our helplessness here, that all of our efforts to try to make our way in this world, be peaceful and happy and prosperous and safe, are failure, must fail. And what happens is, if we have no shelter from Krishna, then we're going to be under the control of these things, more or less. Material desire, material fears, all this. So this calling out is the basic principle of chanting the holy name. Last night I referred to the verse of Queen Kunti. It's about chanting. Janmaishaya Shruta Shribir, Edamana Malakuma, Naiva Bhakti Vedatam Vaitama Kinchana Gocha. that Krishna is the property of the propertyless. Those who claim to own and control things in this world, then Krishna withdraws. You can't see him, you can't, have any relationship. The less that we try to claim in this material world and realize that all belongs to God, and as much as possible, we should engage it in His service, beginning with our own body, mind, words, and money. And that's the path of purity and the path of auspiciousness. Because this false possessiveness, this is called part of ahankar. I'm the doer, I'm the owner, I'm the controller. You see? That's keeping us bound to this world. We think we own things, but actually those things own us. They're what's keeping us bound here. The time of death, you die thinking of all your possessions that you own, you come back again. It's the last thing we want to do, right? Just come back again in another body, maybe subhuman body. That's defeat. That's what Rishabdev calls it. Padabhavas tava. Padabhavas is defeat. Padabhavas tava the bodha jato. Yavan jigyatsa atma tattvam. He's saying that as long as you do not, this padabhavas is caused by ignorance. This defeat, birth and death. If you don't know any of this philosophy, you're just going to act on ordinary karmic impulse, right? Especially in this world, the karma is all around us. So it's born of ignorance, a bodha jata. And therefore, very logically, if you until and unless you inquire into Atma Tattva, the truth of the individual self and the supreme self, you'll be in ignorance and you'll experience defeat. Yavat kriyas. This word yavat tavat means as long as you do this, you're going to get this. And sometimes it's negative. As long as you don't do this, you won't get this. As long as you don't bathe yourself in the foot dust of the pure devotee, then you're going to maintain. This is Prahlad speaking to his father. You're going to maintain your material attitude, and you suffer like anything. So that's the message. So back to Rishabdev. Yavat kriyas. As long as you're acting materially, your mind will remain karmatmaka. Karmatmaka is the materially saturated mind with so many fruitive desires. Normal consciousness. Yavat kriyas tavadidam manovai karmatmakam yena sharira bandha. And by that fruit of mind, that mind filled with all kinds of material desires and fears and all this, you'll get another body. You get another sharira bandha. And that produces suffering. So what's the answer? So then he summarizes, Evamana karma vasham payunte avidyatman upadiyamani. Avidyatman, and if the soul and the mind is filled with, is covered by ignorance, then you must act karmically. So then he gives the solution. Priti nayavan mayavasudevi namuchate dehi yogedada. Unless you have, until you have love for me, Vasudev, his Rishabdev be revealing, I am Vasudev. He's a plenary portion. You cannot get free from the bondage to a body. So the takeaway from this, there's no mukti without bhakti. Pritir nayavan mai vasudevi namuchite. Until and unless you have love for me, Rishabdev said, who am Vasudev, you will not be able to get free from this body, this bondage to a body. So part of that inquiry we're performing here by studying Bhagavatam. Nityam Bhagavata Sevya. Prabhupada was adamant that we attend Bhagavatam class every morning. And he wanted us to do it evening with Bhagavad Gita. He set this up to be an educational institution. Because without that knowledge, our Krishna consciousness is very flimsy. It can be swept away by so many influences. So our forgetfulness, here we have forgetfulness. Because of the living entity's forgetfulness, the transcendental living entity accepts the influence of material energy as his field of activities, and thus actuated, he wrongly applies the activities to himself. So how to combat forgetfulness? By associating with those in knowledge, who can remind us, who can enlighten us. At the end of the of the 12th chapter of the 15th, at the end of the 12th chapter of the 5th canto, there's a beautiful verse. These are short chapters, only 16 verses. So this is 5:12:16. And what he says is, Tato he says, Tasman Naro Susanga, how's it go? Tasman Nara Sanga Susanga Jata Gyanasine Napa Vivitna Moha Harin Tariha Katana Sutavyam Labdas Vati Yat Atiparam Advana. I think I got it right. Tasman, see if you can find it. 5:12:16. Tasman Naro Sanga Susanga Jata Gyanasine Napa Vivitna Moha. You know, Sanskrit is such a wonderful line, so concentrated. Remember that phrase? Essential truth, spoken concisely, is true eloquence. And this is what you find in the Shastra. So here, there's 2 lines. He gives so much information. So he says, therefore. Now, what does he describe? When you see therefore, this previous, statement. So he's just described the forest of material enjoyment, how one stays entangled in this material world. And so he says, therefore, the human being, tasman nara like a narasika, the human being, by the practice of, is it tasman naro sangha? I don't know. By cultivating good association and avoiding bad association. This is like 90% of our Krishna consciousness sadhana. Is don't let your mind associate with materialists, and search out the true devotees who can enlighten you by their association. So by giving up bad association and getting good association, Sangha Susanga, Asanga Susanga, Jata gives birth to Jnana Asina. You know what Jnana means? Knowledge. You know what Asina is? A sword. It's a sword, And Jnana Asina Ein Aiva Vivritna Moha. One can cut off all this illusion that we've built up over many births of simply identifying with the body and acting on false ego. Then what? Then what do we do when we understand who we really are? Our illusion is being cut to pieces. And he continues, Harim Tadiha Katana Shutabhya. Hari is Krishna, and Iha is his activities or pastime. Katana Shutabhya, chanting and hearing. Chanting and hearing the activities of Krishna and the teachings of Krishna. These are the teachings of Krishna in the form of Kapila Dev. The whole Bhagavatam is nothing but Krishna's words. Vyasadeva is an incarnation. What to speak of Bhagavad Gita? So we're hearing Krishna's word. Lord Chaitanya is teaching Shikshastra. So hearing about Krishna's activities or pastimes, you get Labda Smriti. Now this has 2 meanings. Labda Smriti means to get your remembrance. Prabhupada translates, you remember, you revive your remembrance of Krishna in the spiritual world that we lost when we came to this world. And then Yat Etipadam Advada, you will proceed nicely on the path back to Godhead. You see? Now Vishnu Chakravarti says you attain constant remembrance. You constant remembrance of Krishna. And that constant remembrance of Krishna, Krishna's lotus feet, is like the most auspicious thing in the universe. This is described in Hare Krishna. Thank you for attending, even for a few minutes. In the 12th canto, practically the last instruction of Suta Goswami, he has 8 verses on the importance of Krishna Katha. I call it a Krishna Katha. It begins with the word Sankirtan, Sankirtyamano Bhagavananta. And it ends with a verse glorifying the constant remembrance of Krishna's lotus feet. Avismriti means not forget. Avismriti Krishna Padada Vindayo Chinotya Badhani Chasham Tinoti Sattvasya Shuddhim Padamapa Bhaktim Jnana Chavigyana Viraga Yukta. So this attaining constant remembrance, which is described there in the 12th canto and also in this 5th canto, a result of serious hearing and chanting. Hearing and chanting are the 2 most basic processes. Hearing, chanting, remembering. Right? Hearing and chanting is remembering. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam. So when you cultivate it very nicely, you come to the point of constant remembrance. This is the equivalent to the samadhi of the yogis. So what's the result? He gives the benefits. Chinotya Badhanani, all of the Bhadras or Nartas are destroyed. And Sham Tanoti. You know what Sham is? Sham is welfare and good fortune. That's why Lord Chaitanya, one of his names of Shiva is Shankara. He produces Sham, wherever he goes. Sham, tanoti, as it expands your good fortune. Satvasya shundhim, your existence is purified. And of course, Paramatma Bhakti, nourishes your devotion, pure devotion to the Supreme Soul, Krishna. Characterized by jnana, vijnana, raga. Knowledge, realized knowledge, and detachment from everything material. So this is the important of Krishna at all times. And we have such great facility. We have the books, we have the mantra, we have each other, We just have to take advantage of the wonderful facilities that have been supplied to us. So Prabhupada, this wonderful little purport here, under influence of a disease, become mad or man-haunted by ghosts. The 11th canto is filled with this, is that we're actually in a dreaming condition. Avidyamano, how's it go? Avidya, can't believe I forget this one. I'm getting old. Is that actually this material life is just like a dream. But those Jayato Vishayanasya Swapne Nartagamo Yata Avidya Vidyavanopi Samsrutir Nanavartate Jayato Vishayanasya Yata Swapna Nartagamo Yata. So in truth, this verse appears almost identically 5 different times. Know that it's important. So it's saying very simply that material life, samskriti, is ultimately unreal. But the difficulties of samsara do not cease for one who is meditating on the objects of the senses in the mood of sense gratification. Same words in the Gita, we're absorbed in the object of the senses. Just as the difficulties you're having in the nightmare don't cease until you wake up. We know that when you wake up, you said, oh, boy, thank God it was only a dream. I really wasn't being eaten by a tiger or run over by a car or whatever it was. But while you're in that dream, it's very real. You're running, your heart is beating rapidly, you're sweating, you're afraid, right? But if you wake up, if someone wakes you up because they heard you screaming, God, it was only a dream. So this whole, we've been dreaming these millions of lifetimes. And we're absolutely sure I'm getting sick. It's the body that's getting sick, the soul isn't sick. But I'm identified fully with the body. And the material energy has given me this mechanism, complicated by which the spirit soul, which is body at all, can interact and identify with the body. You know, the 10 hairs, the nervous system. We're not mixing, we're floating in the air, but somehow that's giving us sensitivity of what's going on with this body. Some little stub of your toe and suddenly, oh my God, did I break it? So much pain, right? But actually, that's, it's ultimately meaningless. So this waking up is really what Krishna consciousness is all about. Waking up, this like I made this little poem. I should give it a few more poems. We're coming to the end. Everybody dies, nobody dies. Wake up and open your eyes. You're not that body, you're a pure spirit soul. Chant the holy name and attain life's goal. What do you think? Well, I made even a smaller one that's easy to put on a t-shirt. Sense pleasure is a dream. Krishna is supreme. The aim is prem and the way is the name. What do you think? Or Lord Chaitanya's famous statement, Balo Krishna, Bhajo Krishna, Koro Krishna Shika. This was the instruction to Lord Nityananda and Haridas Thakur. This is what you tell the people. Simple instruction. Balo Krishna, Bhajo Krishna, Koro Krishna Shika. Just chant Shri Krishna's name and worship him with all your heart. Follow his instructions and to others them impart. That's what this whole movement is about. Chant Shri Krishna's name and worship him with all your heart. Follow his instructions, learn Bhagavad Gita, and to others them impart. There's a preaching element there too. What do you think? How about the refrain? We're going to try to fix the mind on Krishna's lotus feet, but the mind is giving us so much trouble. It's like a strong horse or a bee. You know, the bees going flower to flower. You can't control the wind. So Rupa Goswami, he has another. Well, this is an instruction to the mind. It's a prayer to Krishna. So the Sanskrit refrain of the song, the chorus: Krishna Bhavandam Bande Manma Samapakatama Payinipatapam Kachamakatamde. O Krishna, dearest Lord, I bow to you and then entreat, please place to be in my restless mind in the honey of your Lord's feet. So even Brahma, deep in trance, cannot achieve his goal, a glimpse of your effulgent toenails, soothing to the soul. Because, O Lord, I've heard of your compassion's endless waves, that very vision is the only boon my poor heart craves. O Krishna, dearest Lord, I bow to you and then entreat, please place to be in my restless mind in the honey of your lotus feet. And then he says, O Madhava, despite great effort, I have not attained the drop of this has brought me endless pain. Yet though it seems impossible to satisfy this need, your monumental power gives me hope I shall succeed. O Krishna, dearest Lord, I bow to you and then entreat, please place to be in my restless mind in the honey of your lotus feet. Today, eternal Lord, my mind is fixed upon your feet, and so I'm tasting endless mellows, wonderful and sweet. I pray that for eternity my mind may there reside, to relish luscious honey that defeats ambrosious pride. O Krishna, dearest Lord, I bow to you and then entreat, please keep the dear my restless mind in the honey of your lotus feet. Hare Krishna. And of course you can sing it. So I think one of the problems here is the kind of the language barrier. I'm not sure that you're actually understanding all of my English, my complicated English. But I'm sorry. It's hard for me to dial it back. Anyway, any questions, any comments? Yes? I'm sorry. Are you referring to the Sanskrit in the verse?
Sanskrit.
In the purport. Purport here. We read 6, this is the forgetful of the entity. Can be compared to a man who is under the influence of disease. You understand that? And become mad, haunted by ghosts. What part don't you understand? Who acts without control, that thinks himself to be in control of the material nature. He becomes absorbed in material consciousness. What part don't you understand? I think you need to learn English. Forgetful with you. Anyway, I can explain it. Good work. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hari Hari Bol. Forgetful. Is that forgetful? You forget something.
Forget.
Yes, forget. That's where we are. We're forgetful. Now, just a note. I got to end with an editorial note. Prabhupada would often use the word forgotten to mean forgetful. And so we get this idea of the forgotten soul. If you look in the Gita, the old Gita, he described Arjuna as a forgotten soul. Now in English, that has a certain resonance because it's like we're abandoned in this material world. Nobody's thinking about us, but nobody's forgotten soul. Krishna remembers us. He's in the hearts of everyone. So forgotten really is not. And if you search Prabhupada's lectures and things, you'll see that there's certain places where he obviously uses forgotten to mean forgetful. And so I would guess that this word forgetful living entity can be probably forgotten living entity. Yeah. So we're trying to remember Krishna and not be forgetful living entities. Okay. Thank you so much for your attention. And we'll pick it up when I come back. Oh, I forgot one thing. There is a poem this Sanskrit, I haven't put it in English. 10 names of Radharani, very simple, 2 verses. Radha, Damodara Krishna, Radhika, Varshabhanavi, Samasta Vallavi Vrinda Damillo Sankamalika, Krishna Priyavali Mukya, Gandharva, Lalita Sakhi, Vishaka Sakya Sukini, Haririn Ringamanjari. Now that's all 10 names. And then the next 2 verses describe the benefits. And the final benefit is, Tvaritam Karuna Patram, Radha Madhava Yogavet. You quickly become very dear to Radha Madhava. I'm going to leave this poem with Premadatta. You can all learn it by next time I come back. This is what I told them in Tucson. I gave them this prayer, and I told them to learn it and I just called Sureshwar, who lives there. He said, "Oh, we've all been rushing to learn it before you actually late to the last minute." But it's simply, 2 little verses, and you quickly become dear to Radha Madhava, which is what you're trying to do, right? Hare Krishna. Premadatta, next time I come back, we'll have a little better sound system.
We're getting it this weekend.
Okay, you know about these things. That's stopgap, but actually, the whole
The
system.
person who got this, Srinivas Prabhu, he's going to get them, but he works during the week.
I see.
So he's going to get it every weekend. No, he knows.
Yeah.
I already taken care of it, but
Beyond that, though, as you say, you need to revamp the system.
yes, a good system is going to cost us $8,000.
Wow.
So, but it's overdue because this is 20 years old.
Oh,
We've been fixing it to this better time.
yeah.
We're looking at a couple of systems. We're hoping to get it so that we can use it at the new temple also.
Oh, sure.